Hi, this is my narrated video for the repeated measures ANOVA. In order to conduct the repeated measures ANOVA, first we're going to hit Analyze, General Linear Model, Repeated Measures. I already typed in my factors earlier, but the first one will be drug, which has 2 levels, and then therapy, which also has 2 levels. Then we'll click Define. Which I already dragged over those variables and levels over to the within subjects variables. Then I'll click Plots, which I already put therapy on the horizontal axis and then drag on the separate lines. I added that. I want a bar chart and I want to include error bars. And then for options, I want estimates of effect size and then observed power. So then I'll click Continue and then click OK. So the multivariate test table shows that there isn't a significant effect of drugs on suicidal thoughts, that there is a significant effect of therapy on suicidal thoughts, and that there is a significant effect of or a significant interaction between drugs and therapy on suicidal thoughts. So next we need to answer the question of whether or what types of therapy have what effects on people who are on drugs versus people who are not on drugs. So in order to do that, we'll go to Analyze, Compare Means, Paired Samples t-test. I already did this earlier, but we'll drag placebo drug with no therapy and placebo drug with CBT as our first pair, and then antidepressant drug with no therapy and antidepressant drug with CBT as our second pair. We'll click corrected standard deviation of the difference and hit OK. Alright, so this tells us that there was a significant difference between those who took the placebo drug with no therapy versus those who took the placebo drug with cognitive behavior therapy. And then there was a significant difference between those who took antidepressants with therapy versus those who took antidepressants with cognitive therapy. So the cognitive behavioral therapy decreased suicidal thoughts regardless if you took the placebo drug or the antidepressant drug. Lastly, these are my answers to the questions on the handout. The first question is, what are the independent variables and how many levels do they have? So the independent variables are drugs and therapy. The drug variable has 2 levels, the placebo drug with no therapy for 1 month and the antidepressant drug with no therapy for 1 month. The therapy variable has 2 levels, the antidepressant drug with cognitive behavioral therapy for 1 month, and the placebo drug with cognitive behavioral therapy for 1 month. What is the dependent variable? The dependent variable is suicidal thoughts. What analysis have you performed? I have performed a 2-way repeated measures ANOVA. Describe the assumption of spuriosity. So the assumption of spuriosity has been met because the statistic epsilon equals 1. Report the main effect of therapy in APA format. There was a significant main effect of therapy on suicidal thoughts. Report the main effect of drug. There was not a significant main effect of drugs on suicidal thoughts. And then report the interaction effect between drug and therapy. There was a significant interaction between drugs and therapy on suicidal thoughts.